Ooh, hello there, my fellow miners and crafters. GoodTimesWithScar here, and welcome back to the wonderful worlds of hermits and crafting. And we're flying on through the HermitCraft Season 5 community area, which is rapidly progressing towards a completion, especially after our last episode where we built the fallen tower and the entranceway door here, and I am loving the design. And thank you guys so much for all the incredible feedback in the last episode about city design ideas for the entire center portion. I mean, look at all this land that we could build on. So guys, keep those ideas coming. I'm loving every bit of it. Hashtag city design ideas. And yeah, this thing is really rapidly coming together. So we need to start thinking about how this interior is going to go. So that is partially what we're going to be working on today. Let's walk through the fallen tower, which is the actual entrance to the community area, because the doorway that we built is obstructed, right? So this door was sealed off at one time, but the rocks that have fallen off of the walls have kind of pushed it open, but it's still blocking the way, so you actually can't get inside. I really like this design. It's so much layered detail. I mean, we even got pressure plates and buttons, for crying out loud. One of the fun things about this, as I was making the thumbnail for the video in our last episode, was that this thing reminds me of Indiana Jones' Adventure at Disneyland, the first scene with Indiana Jones, where he's holding back the doorway full of the snakes. Fun fact with that particular scene is, when I was 5 years old and I went on that ride, I thought Indiana Jones was in a wheelchair. I was asking questions and I'm like, why is Indiana Jones in a wheelchair but not in a wheelchair in the rest of the scenes? I was very confused. I also thought Indiana Jones at the very end was real. That was like a real person hanging on the rope. I have a pretty good memory, so I remember some like strange things as a kid like that. But yeah, I really like that door. It reminds me of Indiana Jones, my absolute favorite Disneyland attraction. What's your favorite Disneyland attraction? Let me know in the comments. Hashtag Disneyland attraction. I want to know what your guys' favorite is. Anyway, let's fly up here and let's take a look at the rest of this. So we still need to work on our towers. We need to work on our walls, and then we're going to work on these pathways. And if we fly over here, this is the entrance into Hermit Hollow down below. And it would be fun if we theme this area, because I was thinking maybe just build some doors, doors that don't actually function. They're more for a showpiece. But what if we could get one of the redstoners down here and do their stoning in here and get it like to a point where there's like a fancy door that opens and closes. That would be really, really cool. That seals off the hermits from below to the evils of the outside. Wouldn't that be really cool? So something that you just walked over, it opens up, closes as you leave. That would be really fantastic, because I don't know, I can make a simple door there, but I think it would be really fun to have something proper. And what I want to do in this area is I want to make this an official kind of elytra jump off point. So if you don't want to walk down the staircase, you can just head on over here and then, fly away. And speaking of flying away, in a little while, we might meet up in this area once again to give Iskall a rating, because he has conducted his services, which were required by the Vex. And we kind of want to go over how they were done and, give him a rating and stuff like that. So, my friends, let me go get some resources together and let's get building, because, boy, we got a lot to do today. I've got a lot of great ideas, so let's do this. All right, so I have been flying around trying to pick the right thing to start with, because we have a long list of projects today. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to finish off the walls. I think that's our first thing. Next will be the towers. So finishing off those, and then we can start working on this interior portion, start to kind of move around some blocks, get the pathways arranged. And I think that'll be good. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into super fast build mode. And we are going to work on all these walls and finally tie them together, because they're not looking super great at the moment. And when hermits come out here, I want this to be more finished. And I think once you're in the interior and you see these finished walls along here, you're gonna be like, oh wow, things are actually progressing. So let's hit super fast build mode and let's get this going. End of super fast build mode, and we now have the walls set up and ready to go, and I cannot be happier to see them all complete. That was quite a project to complete these walls. We've been working on this for quite some time, and I think they're unique, they're different, they're crumbling away using... we need to count exactly how many variants of blocks that we used in these walls. Like, we've got stone, we got andesite of the two kinds, we've got the cobble, we got mossy, we've got cracked brick, we've got the whole 9 yards, and I'm loving every minute of it. So what is next? The next thing on our list here is to finish the towers. So we have the dueling towers on either end here. Now, this particular tower, I think it needs to rise up into the sky just a little bit higher on this one. And then over here, I think this height is good. Like, I'm pretty happy with the height on this one. Now, one of these towers needs to have a tree growing out of it. It just has to happen. So what one would have this is the tree. 100%, that's the tree. For some reason, the tree is calling to me on that one. Now, this one's interesting over here. I've thought about this for a while, but what if there was a waterfall coming through this one? What if we maybe put, let's see if we can get up in the air real quick, take a little loop. We can make like a little pond out here, and maybe there's like a big old crack and the water is flowing through the tower. I think that actually would be pretty cool. Make this into like a little interior pond. Might be pretty cool. Now let's fly up a little higher and we'll look down over the entire project. So once we finish out these towers, we need to start envisioning the pathways. And once those pathways are down, from there it'll be very, very easy to build what is left of the buildings in this area. And I mentioned this before. I think the buildings are going to be primarily stone, with a lot of like grass roof huts and things along those lines. So the grass is kind of the roof line of the building, and that's kind of fun and unique, right? I think that'll be a really cool design. So the wood is kind of minimal, like it's just kind of here and there in the design. In this spot right here where the rocks have fallen in front of the gate, I started to kind of chop the top off so it's realistic when you think about it, is that the pieces of rocks that are blocking the gate have fallen from the portion of the wall above the door. So just helps kind of tie in that storyline. Second point would be, I need to add some more like human elements to, or hermit elements, if you will, to this build, right? Because we've got the door, and that makes sense because that's a human element, is that's a door. That's something that hermits would go through. Now we need those same things maybe in some of the towers. So maybe they're just partially obscured by rock or plants or something, but we need to start putting those in this build. So there are things that you think, oh, there's a doorway, there's a staircase, different things like that that help you feel like it's a bit more of a real place. So once again, my friends, let's hit super fast build mode and let's finish these towers once and for all. Hit it. End of super fast build mode, and after quite some time we now have the two towers complete along with the walls, and that makes me so happy to see this area nearly complete from a structural standpoint from the outside. Like I said, the walls and towers are in their nearly finished state. So let's zoom in here and take a look at the left and right tower. So our first tower is complete so that we can now take water and flow it through the center and into the little hermit kingdom here. And maybe we could turn this into like kind of a pond, but maybe there used to be a house here. But now that water is in here, it's kind of flooded out. So you can start to kind of think in those ideas like this water was not meant to be here, but it's here now, and what was in its place and different things like that. So yeah, there was a house at that one point. Now it's underwater. So I think that'd be really fun. And then in this interior piece, so if we fly on through here, we could maybe make a little river across here, right? We could kind of make a little pond river that flows into the actual hole in the side. So I purposely, made that big hole in there. So I think that'll be really fun. I love this tower. It's, for some reason, it looks like it's bigger than the rest. Like when you look at those, but I don't know if that's just an optical illusion. So I'm not 100% sure. So we definitely need to add a few more blocks in the mix. So we don't have cracked brick. We don't have the variants of mossy. So I definitely want to add those blocks in here eventually, but we can get those in time. So that's not too big of a deal. So moving on over to the right tower, this is the one that I want to find a spot to put a tree kind of growing through it and coming out. So I purposely added these little branches and leaves kind of poking out of the top. So that's kind of there for a reason, being that there's a tree in here. So I'm not sure where the trunk's going to go. So we'll kind of come up with that in just a moment. So those are two little details that I have planned for that. But let's fly up to the top and take a look at this from above. One of the things I'd love to do also is definitely get a map made of the area so we can see and appreciate all the work that went into these towers and walls. Now, get the water flowing. We need to get the tree in the tower and start working on these pathways. So I've actually removed some of the markers that I had, so I need to reapply those once again. But oh man, I'm super excited about this. And as I mentioned a moment ago, when I said Hermit Kingdom, what do you think a good name for the upper level of this area would be? So as we're going along today, hashtag castle name. How about that? Hashtag castle name, and come up with a fun name for up here. Hermit Kingdom just came to mind. Of course, we have Hermit Hollow down below. And what was this area named at one time? When you try to think of the area, try to think of incorporate the walls and the designs and all that into the name. So yeah, let me know if you got any ideas. Hashtag hermit name. Let me go fly back into Scar's mind and let's get building once again. I was originally going to start working on the river and the tree in the tower, but I thought I'd take a little break from that and work on the pathway that flows from the doorway. So in our last episode, of course, we've constructed the fallen tower and we started on this little pathway. And the pathway, of course, is now obstructed by the fallen tower. So what we need to do is we need to take this pathway and just extend it outwards a little bit in this direction. And then we'll take this pathway and we'll send it on inside, and that will kind of meander its way through all the different areas of the interior. So I think that's going to be really fun. And a little shout out to the Cub of the Cam. No, not Cub Cam, Rip Cub Cam. Cub fan 135, that's right. Cub came in here and killed it. That's right. He put this entire area in a green state before it was stone and all those things. And yeah, thank you, Cub. This area was like really hard to do, and Cub stepped up and helped me big time. So very much appreciate. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on that and just kind of get an idea how we made this path. So like I said, I want to make sure it follows the same design. So it's like this tower just fell right on top of it. So in that theory, we should be able to go right across here. And I think that'll be good. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys. We haven't talked for a little bit, so I wanted to see how you're all doing. I hope you're all doing very fantastic. I had a wild week this week. I'm, of course, getting ready for the Mindfair event in Los Angeles. Of course, that is on. Of course, I always forget these. I know I leave on Friday the 13th. So the 14th and 15th. So yeah, that's what it is. That's how I remember the dates, because I know I leave on Friday the 13th. So yeah, it's exciting because this will be the first time that I have flown since 2006, and it'll be the first time I've flown with a wheelchair and an oxygen concentrator and things along those lines, and a feeding tube, liquid medicines. It's a whole ordeal, and it has taken a week to organize. So I've had to, call the airline, arrange for them to understand the things that I'll be bringing onto the plane. I had to call TSA. You can call ahead of time to try to, kind of get them knowing that you're going to be there with a lot of things that might, concern them, because you're bringing on liquids, and these liquids need to be this and they need to be that. And, because they're medical things, you can bring them on. There's the rules. You can't have, certain liquids and stuff like that, or quantities, I mean. So, but because it's medical, you can, but it's good to call ahead. So I had a long conversation with them about that. So they took down the notes. I talked to 3 people with Delta about, making sure the oxygen concentrator was approved, which eventually was. And then getting the wheelchair form sent so that they know where and how to put the wheelchair in, dimensions and stuff like that. It was a long process. Oh man, it was a long process. But this whole thing, I mentioned this before, is this is the year where I get out there. I'm not going to let the things that, ail me or stop me or attempt to stop me. So I am really trying to get out there and not let these things hold me back, because there's things I want to do in life, and I'm not going to sit here and just whine and moan about, oh, things are hard for me, this, that, or the other thing. No, got no time for that. So yeah, I'm excited about this. It's going to be difficult, so that's just gonna be the way it is. It might be a little difficult to breathe at 8,000 feet, or the pressurization of an aircraft is around 8,000 feet. Boeing 787's a little lower. I think it's like 6 on those planes, but they don't really fly those domestically. So this thing's looking super sweet, by the way. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit hard to breathe, but it's a 2.5-hour flight, so it's not the end of the world. So that's not too bad. So I think I can manage really well through that. I will be vlogging it. My brother will be going with me, so we're going to have some fun vlogs from the event. So I'm very excited about that. And like I said before, let me know if you guys are going. Send it to me on Twitter. Leave it in the comments. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. This will be the first time I've kind of left my humble abode for a very long time, and it'll be exciting to get out there and do something that I haven't done for a very long time. I love aviation. I've loved it my entire life. I just love planes. Flying, it's got its problems, of course, but it's just fun to sit down and fly into the air, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, a lot of work done. Put a lot of legwork or handwork maybe, because my legs don't really work super well. So yeah, I'm excited about this. So I don't know. I'm just really happy about it, because there was so much work to get it done, and there's like a sense of accomplishment and like a relief, like, I'm clear to fly. So you had to get like doctor stuff, and it was just a whole thing. So I'm very excited about that. So as you guys can see, this pathway is coming along, and I think it's looking pretty good. This thing's interesting because we'll have this pathway going along here. So this is the pathway that people have actually walked on, whereas this is kind of the old original. So maybe they can meet. And, once you realize, oh, that's a dead end that way, I got to go this way. So we might kind of carve out these ones away and replace them with the citadel, and then kind of have this little offshoot off the original pathway. So I think that'll be cool. So yeah, let me work on this a little bit more, and I'll be right back. And there we are. The pathway is starting to materialize, and I think it's looking pretty cool. I definitely want to take it further back, so have it go all the way kind of up to my base and maybe over to Wells. We'll see how it goes, but I'm quite pleased with it. Let's jump down and take a look at some of the details. So I've got some cracked bricks in there, a little bit of mossy. Now I put the mossy next to leaves. So if there's any kind of leaves in and around the pathway, I think it's kind of cool to put just a little bit of mossy stone around it. And then it runs itself right into where we had worked on the pathway previously. And then of course, here is that little junction where it goes off into the real entrance, or the kind of the only entrance now into Hermit Hollow, Hermit Kingdom. We've got to come up with a name for this upper level. So now what we need to think about is the pathways for the interior of the castle. So this is kind of a fun process, because as you lay out something, it's a bit of a blue sky process. You just start kind of visualizing ideas and seeing how the environment works. So if this is the original pathway that comes through this doorway, we'll start building it up like we did outside. And then this is more of a new pathway coming through the fallen tower, and we'll have a junction point once again where it meets up with the older pathways. So say, let's just start right here, right? And this pathway kind of runs itself down this way, kind of under this little cliff. But what if for fun, we have this area kind of pulls off from that particular pathway, leads up here to the tower, and ends up in like a doorway going into the tower, obstructed by rocks that have fallen from the tower. I think that sounds pretty cool to me. So yeah, I think that'll be really fun. So like I said, if we continue to kind of work our way up this way where the path will flow, this zone right here is the kind of the farmlands, right? So that's where the farm's going to kind of spread outside of the gates. However, carrots and potatoes and things along those lines outside of its like perfectly manicured square boxes, they've kind of spread out from there because they've broken free of their like pen, I guess. I don't know what you call that. I guess not a pen because that's where you'd put like livestock, I suppose. Huh. We'll figure it out. So then this pathway runs along the walls. I think this is a good chance to get like right up against the walls and get a good visual look at them. And now we're right here where, maybe thinking about this, what if there was a bridge that connected from here to there? Ooh. That might be pretty cool, but it might kind of obstruct the tower design because, of course, we're going to have the water flowing through here. That's an interesting thought. I have to think about that one. That left me in like, now I'm just in like thinking Scar mode at the moment. And I think we're going to hold off on that because I would actually like to put more thought into that. So this pathway we read about here, let's take this one and start running it around here. Yeah, I just kind of got lost in thought. I'm like, how is this going to go? And I'm like, I'm recording. I can't just sit here and think for 5 minutes because that happens. Like sometimes people will see me and I'm just completely out of it, just daydreaming about something. It's like, Scar, you there? Do we need to shake him? Do we need to get help? No, he's just thinking about his Minecraft designs. It's fine. It's best to leave him alone at this point. It's actually true. So this is the pathway that kind of runs along the nether portal of evil. So I think that's good. And then, we can connect it up to there, but it still would be neat if there was even a bridge, but maybe the bridge had washed away or something like that. Actually could be pretty cool. So that's the fun part about doing these designs, building up all of the pathways like this, because it gives you thoughts on how the area works, what goes here, what can fit, and the general kind of feelings of the place, which leads to, here's the blacksmith, here's the farms, different things like that. Always comes out when I start to do the pathways. So let me figure out a few more details of this pathway. Let's get these things done and we could go work on our river because that sounds like fun. Everything is in order for the destruction. Oh, hey guys, welcome back. And I've got all of those beautiful paths laid out and ready to go here in the... That's right, still don't have a name for this, so make sure you guys come up with a name in the comments for this, and I'll go through those comments and see what we got. I'm actually really, really looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. So as you guys can see, we've got some crazy overgrown paths all lined up and ready to go with the main door. And yeah, I'm really happy with these. So one of the things I still want to work on a little bit more is, getting like some foliage around the edges. I think that's something we'll do once we get into the more terraforming phase of the build, which will probably actually be our next episode. So that's going to be really fun, adding trees and getting all the little details in there, incorporating a little bit more coarse dirt. I noticed there was like, hey, wait, we haven't used any coarse dirt yet. But I like this being there's a path under the portal. So I want to actually connect that to the other side. And like I said, trying to get some more of these bushes kind of installed. And it's always good, like when you're making a pathway that splits off and branches away, is put something in the center there, like maybe a tree, maybe a rock or some bushes like this. That really helps. And another aspect too is to throw in just a few here and there blocks that kind of sit above the rest like that, just sitting above there. And like I said before, you can kind of put these in the corners a little bit. So when you're walking down a corner, it kind of helps you just kind of direct your way. It's very strange, but it does kind of do its job. Same thing we've done over here with the plants on that side. So I think that's really cool. And some of the newer pathways that are, not original, they're just made out of path blocks. And these are the ones that kind of go through the walls. So that's pretty cool, right? I am really, really pleased with the way everything has come out today. We have finished the walls, we have finished the towers, and got our paths all lined up and ready to go. And they just kind of meander their way through the entire build now. And from this point forward, we can start populating the city with buildings and things like that, because we have the layout of the entire, I almost said facility, the entire Hermit facility, constantly producing all your HermitCraft needs. No, it's not a factory. So let's look down on this, and yeah, doesn't it look cool from above? All the little pathways moving around. Absolutely loving it. So this pathway over here still needs to be extended, and this was kind of with the original design where it was kind of spotty with the path block. So I definitely want to incorporate what we've done here by expanding out the path block, because another aspect of building that's new to Minecraft is the fact that we have to think about our builds from above. And doesn't that sound kind of funny? Is, you know, back in the day we could only walk on the ground, and then we got horses. It sped our progress up a little bit. Of course we have minecarts, but now that we have the elytra, we got to think about what our builds look like from above and at a farther distance, because we're flying around. Like we now just own the world. We can travel wherever we want with our elytras. So, you know, we're way up in the air, and we need to make sure our builds are still visually appealing from above. It's a whole new way to think about building, and it's really kind of hit me recently. Like, we really gotta kind of pay attention to the upper levels of our builds once we start working on them. So let's take a land on this squishy nether portal. This stuff's squishy, right? You'd think it would be. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming out today and enjoying the video. It was very much enjoyable to finally finish all of our little towers and walls and all those little things here. So guys, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, this has been Good Times with Scar. And if you believe the video deserved a rating, that would be much appreciated. And until next time, we'll see you later. And don't forget to subscribe, because you may just become scarred for life.